you've literally doubled the income of their business by doing that. So I just want to emphasize that. Like, it sounds like, oh, 30% to 60, I don't know, that's cool. Like, that literally means you doubled the amount of money they are making in their business. So that's awesome. So all right, so I am super excited today because we have somebody who's like, man, honestly, I don't know that there's too many humans on this planet that are more qualified to give advice, to drop some gems about how to sell beats online. Billy from Big Shot Beats, my friend, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing awesome, man. I'm blessed and highly favored always. You already know what it is, man. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited. So, for anybody who doesn't know, you are one of our coaches over at Midi Money. Our first coach. You can always hold that over Wish.
Yeah.
Wish is number two.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wish. But so you've been, coaching producers. You've been helping them. You've been getting on live coaching calls every single week for, I don't even know, at least
It's
6 months.
I think I'm on part 42 or 43 right now. Yeah, it's been
Sheesh.
the run, man. Almost a year.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah. So like 40 plus, hour plus sessions working with producers on their businesses, not to mention, somebody who's been growing your producer business for years. So I'm super excited to get into it because I know you got crazy insight. Like I said, like honestly, more than like there's probably not too many humans in this world who will have more insight in how to grow your music production business than yourself. So I'm excited to get into that, but maybe just, before we jump into that, maybe if we could just hear a little bit about kind of your backstory, how you got into things, just to give a little context of how you got here.
Cool. I really appreciate the opportunity that you gave me, first of all, to be one of the coach of Midi Money, and that's a result of me leading with value always. And I think that this year, because I wanted to always increase on that part, it just brought some opportunities my way, and I'm really thankful for the one that you gave me for the group. And second of all, just to be here, to be able to share my story and to share my experience, some knowledge, and anything that's going to help somebody that's going to listen to this. Now, my journey started online back in about 2013, which brings me back to about 7, 8 years ago. And I said, how can I make some money selling beats online? Because just like you, and we have something similar there, I was chasing the majors, getting major placements and, trying to work with major artists. But for whatever reason, that never worked in my journey. So it was always knocking my head on the wall, trying to figure that part out. I've been in the studio with big artists. Things never really panned out to something that I would be proud of. So I remember one day it was, I think it was like New Year's, like the second day of the year starting. I was sitting at the kitchen table and I just had some dinner. I had some chicken cooking or something was on the table, and I was just thinking, like, man, how I need to figure this out. Like, how about turning to the internet, using the power of the internet to market my music? And that's where my journey started. And thankfully, I started to learn about email marketing and putting a funnel together. And my journey with the funnel started way back, throwback, and shout out the producer that actually learned those basic and fundamental marketing concepts from, that put me on the path that I am today. And it didn't start just yesterday. So with that said, I was trying to build my business. It didn't work at first. It was pretty challenging. And at one point I actually did quit. I actually put music to the side to try to, figure some more things out about the marketing. And that's where, my journey as an affiliate marketer online started. And I'm really thankful for that part of my journey, because I was able to really up my game up when it comes to marketing. I got myself some mentorship to really learn how to get some sales online and how to do the right things in order to get an online business running. And then because of that, I got to the point where, I got up to making, like, say, $6,000 a day online and stuff like that. And I still wasn't feeling fulfilled.
Wow.
And that's when I said, you know what, let me get back to my true calling, which is the music. And I asked myself that time, how can I implement the things that I've learned and apply that to the music business, to my music business, so I can get it off the ground and running and everything. And then that's how I realigned to, running my music business online, leading with value, but for music artists and music producers and everything. And then that's how it kind of all, sparked and started up again,
Got it.
and
Yeah. No,
that's where I am today. Yeah.
that's crazy. It's really interesting too because it just shows, you never know that path and where it's going to take you, where it's like almost felt, you said you did give up, right? And it was like, okay, let me try this other thing. Let me learn about marketing and affiliate marketing and all this stuff. And it sounds like you were crushing it. I didn't even realize you said $6,000 days, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, but taking the next opportunity in front of you until it all came back around, and then now it's put you in a position where now you're back in music, and all of those skills and that time, that energy that you put into that is now paying off so much more. So I think that's something really, that's a big gem right there. It's just taking those opportunities as they come. Learn, always know you're always learning. Everything that you're doing, as long as you're learning something and you're growing, then you're making progress. And even if it doesn't feel like, hey, this isn't the direction I thought I was going to go, or I'm not even sure if this is where I want to go, as long as you're learning, then it's forward momentum, and that's that's a good thing. So that's dope. And then man, so then I think you came on my radar a couple years ago, where I just I'm a nerd with this stuff, where I try to see what every producer's doing. So
I'm a nerd too, man. I'm a nerd too. Let me tell you,
Hey.
I'm snooping around just like you, brother.
So I came across you and saw, okay, this guy's doing some cool things, and so that was really cool. And then man, I remember when you joined Midi Money. First, I was just honored because I was like, oh wow, okay, hey, we got Big Shot Beats in here, just signed up, just like anybody else. And then you kind of you glossed over it, but you were giving so much value in the Facebook group. It was crazy, where it was just you were giving updates on what was working for you, but also every time somebody had a question, you'd be helping them out. You'd be sharing insights. Here's what's working. Here's how to fix that thing. And then I'd start reaching out like, hey, can you help me with this thing? And so you were just giving so much value that just turned into me and AD being like, damn, do you think like we could maybe offer him a like an official position, because he's basically already doing it anyways, as our first coach, and then we were just super grateful that you said yes. But I think it's just a big lesson there of just it's so often it's the people who are giving the most value, the people who are helping the other people the most, are the ones that are the most successful themselves. So man, big shout out to you, and thank you for doing that and continuing to do that, to bring that value. Really very much appreciated.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that, and that comes from having a mindset of, always learning. I don't know every single thing, but to me, I'm going to be learning for the rest of my life. It's really important that when you're learning, you have to take action on what you're learning, but I also approach it in a way that, if I'm learning something and I'm giving value to myself, I have to give that value back to others, because there's a saying that I seen the other day. It's like, if you scared to share that secret sauce or that sauce, that means you have a limited amount of sauce. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's really important that when you're learning something and you go to teach it to somebody else, or you share that value to somebody else, well, it not only helps you to understand, but by giving somebody else that value, it's going to come back to you tenfold. And before I joined Midi Money, I'm telling you, I wanted to build a community of producers that I could share my knowledge and my value to, right? And then I think I was on a call on another program that I was paying monthly subscription to, and that's something that's really important that anybody that's listening to this has to take in consideration, is that investing in yourself is the biggest thing that anybody can do, because you help yourself grow, and you never know what opportunity is going to present to yourself when is the right time. So I was on some call, and then you showed up. So I was like, oh, it's that guy that I used to see, and I seen his ads and I seen his stuff. And then I think it was like an ad that you had going on where you're like, yo, we hit $1 million selling beats. So I was like, oh my God, it's actually possible, because I was kind of like doubting myself, and I'm like, can I really do that? and then show that to others, get to that million, and then share my journey and my knowledge to others. Is it really possible? And then boom, you kind of showed up. I starting to see ads everywhere, and then you showed up on that call, and I'm like, man, this is God sent. This is a wrap. And I think that's what God was showing me. Like, there's a way, there's possibility, there's opportunity here. So you just have to stick to your calling and make things happen. And because I had that goal and I was focusing on that, it just kind of came to my lap. And this is me leading with value. And then I come across a community, I share my knowledge, just not thinking anything. And then boom, opportunity showed up. And then I just took the leap of faith with that.
Bro, I love it. So many gems in there. So many gems. I mean,
Yeah.
one that stuck out right there is just that idea of, when you see that something's possible, that belief is something that's going to do so much to serve you to actually accomplish that thing too.
Exactly,
It makes such a huge difference. And I'm somebody who, I was always very skeptical of any kind of like personal development stuff or anything that felt like, I feel like I'm kind of like I'm like a science skeptical kind of dude. Like that's just who I am. And when I started learning about, even when I started, first studying marketing and business, like I just wanted to know, okay, what are the tactics? What are the strategies? But then it's been crazy. The more progress I make, the farther along I get, the more I realize that mindset piece of believing that the thing that you're trying to accomplish is possible, and then seeing other people do it is actually much more helpful than just learning, oh, here's a little tactic that's going to help you get there. It's actually that mindset and that belief, and for me, it was really, Anno Domini was the guy who I saw do that. And he shattered my beliefs of like, oh my God, like it is possible to have a 6-figure month or to make 7 figures from selling beats online or to create this type of business. And so, yeah, that belief piece is highly underestimated, I think, and is huge. And then another thing you
Definitely.
mentioned too is just investing in yourself, and how that's when you believe in yourself, you invest in yourself, that pays off as well. So 2 big gems right there.
Yeah, definitely. And mentorship was something that in the journey that I took when I kind of put music to the side a little bit is something that was huge for me, because that really put me on the path to improve and to really do a cleanup on my mindset side. And we actually got to meet in person in Nashville in one of the biggest marketing event, right? And I introduced you to one of my mentors that I had for the online side. And that guy that I introduced to you was really the guy that helped me realign my mind to what's possible. And the life that you have is really a life that you create. You're responsible for everything. And if you want to take the blame game, it's never going to work for you. So it's really important that you approach everything with a positive mindset, and you move forward and really have the belief and the thinking that you're going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve if you truly focus on that, and you already believe that it's happening even before it's happening, kind of thing, right? So I really envision me being in the group, sharing my knowledge, my experience to others, and I'm actually living that right now. So it's pretty crazy. And the law of attraction is really not a joke. Some people are going to say, okay, whatever. I thought for myself that it was a joke for the longest time, but it's actually no joke. And anything that anything that you want to put your mind onto and you focus on that, you're going to attract.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're living proof of it. I am too. I mean, I think the part that people get caught up on is they think that when people talk about that means, oh, I can just sit here and think about something and it's going to happen. It's like, no. Like that is huge. That's the first step.
That's one little part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the other part that you already mentioned too. It's the implementing. It's the taking action with that belief and understanding that it's going to take you to where you're trying to go, and the trust that it's going to take. It's that combination is really, what I mean. That's the thing that gets you there. So
Exactly.
Man.
So I mean, you spend money with your time and with actual money, right? And
Right.
when you pay attention. So, it's very
Yes.
important. That part is really important.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to gloss over that too, that whole mentorship piece too that you talked about, which is huge, which is, for one thing, a mentor can show you that something's possible, like we've talked about. They can show you how to do it. And a lot of times they've already, they've done the thing that you're trying to do, right?
Exactly.
And they've helped other people do the thing that you're trying to do. And so they already know the pitfalls. They know the wrong turns that you're already probably going to make. They know the right direction to go. They already know that. So this person, if you find the right mentor, they've put in, a decade or whatever it is into doing this thing. So now your choice is you can either try to figure it out for a decade, or you can collapse that time down. You can pay them for their time, whether if that's, a coaching program, a course, a book, whatever it is. And now you can actually download that information. You can get that guidance. And instead of spending 10 years, you can figure it out in a year or a month or whatever it is, because that's the power of that mentorship. And that's something that served me, in a huge way. And I know it has for you as well.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people want to say, oh, I'm going to figure that out myself. I don't need to get some mentorship. Well, it's either you're trying to figure out for the next 10 years of your life, or you minimize that time by learning from someone that has a proven method that actually worked and that showed others how to do it as well with some results, because you can see with the documentation, and you're going to get to where you want to get a little bit faster than if you try to figure it all by yourself. You know what I mean? So to me, that's truly important.
Bro, exactly right. And it's, sometimes I'll hear people say like, why would you ever pay for any course or information or coaching? Like, it's all on Google, right? And I get it. And like, Google is so powerful. Everybody take advantage of Google, of YouTube. There's so much information. Basically, all the information is out there. But kind of the way that you can also think about that is, the analogy is, going into YouTube and searching for something, or Google and searching for something. It's almost like you're walking into this giant library filled with all the information in the world. And now you could spend the next 10 years digging through all the books to try to figure out which are the good ones, which are the bad ones, test out the thing that you read in this book, see if that works, see if it doesn't. And yes, it's there. And technically that's free because you didn't pay for it. But if you have somebody who can walk you through that process and say, no, don't read those 10 books, just read chapter 1 of this book and chapter 5 of this book, do this step and this step. And now all of a sudden you've collapsed that time. You've essentially saved yourself money as well, because you've bought that course or whatever it is from that mentor. So to me, it's kind of misleading when people are like, oh yeah, you can get it all for free on Google. Like, kind of, but it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? One more thing I just want to say about that too is like, we've been living in the age of information, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, in your phone, you have all the information in the universe at your fingertips, right? Which is nuts. But at the same time, there's a downside to that, really, which is that it's like there's information overload, and there's all this different information. And you might be like, okay, I want to grow my music production business, but I'm hearing a million different ways to do that. This person is telling me to do it this way. This person's doing it this way. I'm seeing somebody else is doing this, so I'm going to maybe try this little thing for a few minutes, and then this little thing and this little thing. And so the information is no longer as valuable as it used to. And now what we're evolving into is an age of insight. And now the information's fine, it's there, it's free, but what's really valuable is insight, meaning what's the information that's valuable to you at this point in your journey that's actually going to move the needle for you. So I'll get off that topic, but to me it's a big one, just because I get frustrated sometimes when people are like, oh yeah, it's all just go on YouTube, you'll learn everything you need to know in the world. Like, not really.
Yeah. I mean, I like the analogy that you made there, like going into a library and then you can get all the information that you want. But I'd rather have someone that guides me through and that brings me to that aisle for this information, that aisle, and that tells me, okay, these are the things that you have to tune into. These are the books. This is the knowledge, so that you can get this result. I'd rather that than try to find my way in the library and try this book, that book, not knowing exactly where to go. So that was a good analogy right there.
Yeah, man, exactly. And again, hey, use Google, use YouTube, explore, find stuff like.
Definitely two of my best friends for sure, though.
Yeah, of course. But if you think that's gonna give, if you think you're gonna become a millionaire or get a platinum plaque or whatever it is that you want, just off of that, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, definitely.
So, man, I want to get into, like I mentioned at the beginning, I mean, you've coached so many producers now. I mean, you are also run your own very successful music production business, selling beats, using funnels, all that good stuff. And so I know being in that position, you get to see, producers who are crushing it, guys who are doing, I shouldn't say guys, but producers who are doing, 5 figures a month, producers who are hitting 6 figures, and you're also seeing producers who are really struggling, have been trying and are making $0. So I'd love to just get some insights about that. I'm sure we could talk about all kinds of angles, but maybe we could start with, what are some of the most common mistakes that you're seeing when you're getting on those coaching calls? You're seeing producers saying like, "Hey, what's going on? I'm not getting sales." What are the most common things that you tend to see?
So the one of the things that I tend to see a lot is that producers think that they can have some pages up online without having elements that can help build the trust with the people that are going to see these pages. For example, not having a video on your offer page, for example, for the things that we're doing inside of the producer funnel secrets or the mini money, right? So to me, it's something that I learned from one of my online millionaire mentors, is that building trust with video is absolutely crucial. I don't think that anybody would want to do business with somebody that hides behind a screen and you never see what they look like, and you don't even know how they move around. You can't kind of feel their energy on video and stuff like that. For us to use the power of the internet, it's really important to get on video. And I know that a lot of people struggle with that. And I struggled with that for a little while, but it's something that with practice, if you practice, by yourself, and we all have a phone, right? We can always turn our phone on, just record ourselves on thing until we get to the point where we're comfortable enough to put a video out there in the world. Just by being yourself, you can build more trust by, having a page online that tries to sell somebody something without seeing you there. You can get lucky in some cases, but people are not going to trust that versus somebody that approaches with the element of having everything in place that would help with that, so that somebody can build a relationship, rapport with you, with your story and everything. So that's one of the common mistakes that I see. Like, some producers just want to put some pages online without a video so that people can get to know them. Another thing that I see a lot of music producers struggle with is, copywriting, knowing what to say on the page that will, have somebody look at what's going on the page, and that's going to take them or push them to take action on something. So copywriting is, the words that you're going to put on the page that will help somebody understand what you have to offer to them, so that they can take action on what it is that you have to offer, right? So if you don't have a video on on your web pages, for example, and the words that you say, it confuses the person that comes there, you're not going to get results. And that's where a lot of producers fall short from the hundreds of reviews that I made when it comes to the web pages and the funnels that we put together inside of our group. And basically that's a lot of the stuff that I've seen that is most common with what producer made mistake on.
No, and the video thing makes sense. It's something that I know for me, I struggled with for a long time. When the first many years of me selling beats online, there was no videos of me. And then when I finally did a couple, they were horrible. I mean, just embarrassing, just so bad. And for me, it's just not my personality. It's just not who I am to put myself out there in that kind of way and to be comfortable on camera. And so I didn't do it for a long time. And I think there's some, I think that's fairly common that a lot of producers do feel that way. And so I understand the idea behind not wanting to do it, but it makes such a difference. When I started actually putting myself out there, when I started getting on video, when I started connecting to my followers, my fans, my customers, my potential customers, that's when things really changed for Legion Beats. That was a huge turning point. And so it's one of those things where it's really hard at first, at least for me, unless you're like just naturally, extroverted and comfortable, which I know a few people are, but definitely not me. And I don't feel like most producers are. But the way to get good at it is you just keep doing it. And so you just get out there, you do that video, and you do another one, and you do another one. And really that's kind of the process that I've seen to get better at it. Is you just keep doing it, and it sucks at first, and it's terrible at first, and the third one is terrible, and the seventh one is horrible, and then the 12th one is like, that's all right. And then the 100th one is like, all right, that's not bad. And but that's just how it's like making beats, right? It's your first one is garbage,
yeah.
but sticking with it and creating those videos makes a huge difference. And just to even kind of big picture too is like, depending on the way that you are selling beats, if you're just doing an old school beat store, you probably don't have there's not even a place to put a video. So that's a whole nother question. But yeah, so I think that's a big one.
Yeah, so those are some of the few things that I saw that is mostly common, and just the little mistakes that I see overall is just like the kind of the structure things, or the grammar, the mistakes, the misspelled, the little at the bottom of the pages where you put like, say, 2020 copyright all rights reserved kind of thing, and I see some of these little mistakes. And believe it or not, some people look at that, and it's very important that everything is on point, so that we can increases the chances of building some trust with the people that are going to see our pages.
Yeah, no, those little things add up for sure. And like you said, it creates trust or creates mistrust, right? If it's the wrong
Exactly.
year, or it's some kind of default, text or something that you can tell is like, well, this isn't this person. People aren't gonna trust it. And especially, at first you might not even realize it because you're just like, well, I didn't get a sale, I don't know why. But certainly, I know for me, as we've scaled stuff up, like, people will let like, whatever it is, if there's something in the disclaimer or whatever, like if there's something off or something wrong, at a certain point, people love to point that stuff out. And so I think all those little things, make a big difference. And then I also want to come back to what you said as far as copywriting, which, just to clarify, it's not like copyright, like copyright.gov, copywriting, WRIT, which is like the words that you write on the page are so important, because that's what's going to draw somebody in the first place. That's what's going to keep them engaged and interested. And, some of the things that I think people make the mistake with in copywriting is that they'll write something from their perspective. So like, okay, I'm a producer, I want to sell beats, so I might do something like, hey, get these beats for 50% off or something. It's like, that's like cool, but it's really more about me. But if I can make it about the customer, to me, that's
make it about them. Yeah,
that's a huge piece of it. So, it starts by kind of getting into the mind of who is that artist, who is that potential customer, right? What do they want? What do they need? Maybe they're frustrated because they've been scrolling through YouTube all day and they haven't found the beat they like, or they downloaded a beat off YouTube and then realized they didn't have the rights to it or something like that. So then now, if you can create a headline or an ad or a post or something that says, get, don't waste your time scrolling through YouTube and worrying about the rights to what you can use. You have, 100% rights to use this, and it'll save you a bunch of time. Now, obviously, that was kind of wordy, and like you'd hone in on it.
Off the top, yeah.
But the content there, I think, is what's important in there, is like making sure that what you're saying is always, okay, what's in it for the person reading this, not what's in it for me as the person trying to sell it.
Exactly. Big gem that I got over my journey, as just to talk about marketing. You always want to make it about them and not all about you. It's all good that you talk about I and me, but that's not. You have to think about, okay, when somebody comes on this page, they have to look at it in a way that they're going to tell themselves, okay, what's in it for me? And that's a lot more effective if you take that approach versus, oh, I got this placement, I got this, that, and that person is going to be like, okay, it's cool that he got that, but what's in it for me? How is all that he's saying is going to be beneficial for me? And I'm talking about, your ideal customer, or somebody that's possibly going to be buying from you, right? So who's going to view your webpage and everything. So make it more about them. And that's a mistake that I also see. So make it more about them versus just self-centric or just about you. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and even another sort of version of that is talking about the features as opposed to the benefits. Meaning,
the benefits, yeah.
Right? So like if you're selling
Hmm.
beats, let's say okay, you're going to get this beat pack. So a feature might be that you get the tracked out stems. A feature might be that they're this bit rate or whatever. A feature could be I don't know what, something, this was created in Ableton, whatever. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
that's a feature, whereas a producer maybe I'm excited about that. But for the artist that you're selling to, what's the benefit? That's the part that's important. So then don't just say, oh, this includes the tracked out stems, because they may or may not know exactly what that means. Say, oh, the feature is it includes the tracked out stems. But what that means for you is you can customize this, you can customize your mix. You can have your song mixed like a professional to where you can drop out the instruments wherever you want and really create and craft a song that's personalized to you. um,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, so that to me I think is another big one too, is making sure that in that copy you're telling them what's the benefit to them, not just here's the list of things that's included. Why do they want that? What does that mean for them?
So we can structure it that way. So you can talk about the features so that they can know exactly what they're getting. But if you add the little piece of those little pieces of words that says the feature so that you can boom, and that's the benefit, that's going to make the copywriting or the words that you're using to present what you're offering a lot better than just a feature. You know what I mean? So you're going to get the track out stems so that you can be more flexible with your mixes and customize it to the way that you want. Boom. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Yeah, no, I love it. That's big gem right there, and that goes for anything.
Oh
Whether
yeah.
if you're writing a post for an
Exactly. Yeah.
Instagram, or it's an ad, or it's your funnel, or it's an email, like all these things apply everywhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. So what are some of the things that you've been seeing that are working? You see all these producers and you see their funnels and their ads and their emails and whatever, all this kind of stuff. What are some of the things that you see that are working, that are getting results?
So one of the things that worked for me, at least for the funnels that I've been running, even before I started with the Midi money, and that I got into the group and everything, is having a video ad that leads into an opt-in page that has a video on it. So just so that everybody can understand is that using video is very powerful. So you're gonna have to adapt and to put yourself in a position where you're using more video for your marketing and for everything that you're basically doing online. So what I did is that I had a video as an ad that had the same scenery, the same setup, and everything around me is the same thing for the page that they land on from that video ad, so that when somebody lands on that page, they're like, okay, so I'm in the right place here. This is not something else. This is the guy that I saw in the ad, and boom, okay, I'm in the right place right here. And that same video that they land on, it just reconfirms what they clicked on, so that they can move on to the next step. And this is why sales funnels is amazing, because you're not completely losing that person into a step where they have so many options and so many things to look at. You're just pushing them to the next step, and it's one step at a time when we're talking about sales funnels. So one of the things that I share a lot of times with the producers inside of the community that we have is, oh my god, okay, my opt-in rate, which means the amount of people that see my page so that they can opt in and put in their email address so that they can get my freebies, for example, is very low. How can I increase that? And that tip right there, where I tell them, okay, start with having a video ad if you have one, with a video that matches the same setup that you have, that you're going to put on the opt-in page, or having a video ad that leads to a page that has a video on it for the opt-in page. And most of the time, any producers that I shared that with inside of the community, they're like, oh my god, I increased my opt-in rates from 40% to 70%, or from
Ooh.
30% to 60%. And I did that for myself. I was about 45% before even having a video on my opt-in page, and then I increased it to 70%, 75%, just by doing that step.
Wow. You said
And
from what to what?
from about 43% it was, or I think it was around 45%. And
Yeah,
then I increased it to all the way up to 70, 75% just by
that's
adding a
crazy.
video in that step. So that's
That's
crucial to have
crazy.
video on there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I want to come back to that in a second, but just those percentages, just just because sometimes people don't, they don't really understand. But so, if, for example, you said some people went from 30% to 60% opt-in. So what we're talking about is in, the type of funnel that we're talking about, we send somebody to a page where we say, hey, we're going to give you something for free in exchange for your email address, right? And that's kind of one of the first steps of the whole process. And so the opt-in rate is the percentage of people who see that page compared to the amount of people who actually enter their email. And you might think, without knowing, like, oh, well, I don't know, it should be about 100%, right? It's just not how it works. It's just, a large percentage, they're going to click on it for whatever reason. They're going to get there. They're going to get distracted for, who knows, a million different reasons they're not going to opt in. So if you're anywhere close to 50%, it's actually really good. And I just want to say, if you've got somebody who's was at 30%, you make a change, they're now at 60%, you've now increased their opt-ins by 200%. Which means whatever percentage of people who are ultimately going to buy, whatever that number is, whatever, let's say it's 2%, it doesn't matter. You've literally doubled the income of their business by doing that. So I just want to emphasize that. Like, it sounds like, oh, 30% to 60, I don't know, that's cool. Like, that literally means you doubled the amount of money they are making in their business. So that's awesome. So, and then, and that's super dope as far as, that's something that I haven't done, video on the opt-in page. I've done, video ads, opt-in page usually with a picture and some text, so I'll definitely have to try that. But that makes sense, and that's a concept I've definitely seen over and over, which is that whenever you're having somebody click from here to here, like let's say your ad to your opt-in page, or whatever it is, it's got to match. Otherwise, like you said, it doesn't. People are much more likely to click away because they feel like it's the wrong thing, or maybe they were tricked. People are very skeptical. It's almost like, I've heard somebody use the analogy of like a cat, where like, how cats are like kind of skittish, like they'll walk up to you, but if you like, move a little bit the wrong way, they'll run.
They'll fly off.
Yeah, your potential customers are kind of like that too. And so one of the quickest ways to get somebody to jump away is if, your ad looks like one thing and then they click over and they're like, this doesn't quite match, this doesn't look right, danger, like bam, and then they'll be out of there. So that's really smart, I think, of having those congruencies, having those similarities on those two things. I think that's a big one.
Definitely important to be congruent with advertising and what you have going on. Like, if just a quick example, even if you were to have like an image on your ad, and then you land on a page that has the exact same image, you're already congruent right there. Right. It's just that video would help a lot more if you have a video on your ad, and then it's the same setup, the same background and everything on the video that you have on that page. It's just gonna help you tremendously.
Bro, I'm gonna have to go split test a video on my opt-in page now. Okay, I'm taking notes over here. I like this.
That definitely helped me. So I shared that with the community, and then boom, I've seen many people have results with that.
Yeah. That's a big one. Man, what else? What are some other things that have been working, whether if it's for you or you've seen other producers doing?
Something that's been working as well is, giving, the visitors of your offer page, options, a little bit more options. So something, for example, is that, some people are more comfortable with, say, PayPal, to pay with PayPal versus just a regular credit card thing. So there's a third-party software that you can use that can allow you to do something like that on your offer page, for example. And even myself, when I implemented that, I've started noticing, a little bit higher percentage of sales, just because, I used to have just a regular credit card option when it comes to people processing their orders through my pages. And just by adding, like, the PayPal option, I've seen a few more sales because I was able to add that. And there's different ways that, you can approach it to add that option on your page. And just because I shared that inside of the group in terms of different ways or different options to set that up, some people said, man, today I'm seeing like a higher percentage of people buying off of me because I have the PayPal option, and some other days it's just a regular one. So, it's kind of back and forth, but if you can add a little element on, say, your page that can help that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a good one. It's definitely something where, on PayPal specifically, there's people who they're just comfortable with PayPal. They're used to it. That's what they want to pay with. All they need is their name, or their email and password. And so that's what they like to use. So giving them that option can definitely be helpful. I will say, on the consumer side, PayPal's great. It's so convenient. on the merchant side, on our side as the seller, I hate PayPal. It's such a hassle. Just all
Yeah,
the integrations, the reports. It's such a hassle.
yeah,
But I use it. I use it because there's enough people who, like you said, there's enough people who that's what they want to use, and I don't want to miss out on that business. So I do have PayPal on most of my, in most of my things. I just kind of hate PayPal.
yeah. I mean, it's something that people trust when they see that logo. It's automatically, oh, okay, cool. I
Yeah.
can kind of use that, and it's kind of like a go-to. So I think it's good to give people the some options, and those are the little elements that can help build trust, especially when you have something to offer, something to sell online, so that people can take you up on that offer, right? And another gem, if you want to share one,
Yeah.
is okay. Sometimes when somebody goes and they want to process an order online, it doesn't go through for whatever reason. It may be security with their card or with their bank or whatever, or they just, I don't know, maybe they don't have the funds or whatever the case may be, right? I have something set up where it automatically sends an email out to the person when the transaction for whatever reason didn't go through. And I set that
Mm.
up with Zapier,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something pretty cool because, say they start inputting their information, it kind of captures some of that information so that you can communicate with that person in the event that they maybe, they need some help, or maybe just a communication point so that they can see that somebody, is supporting them, or somebody can help them with the transaction in the event that something went wrong, kind of thing. And I think it's a pretty cool feature to have. It's a little bit more on the advanced side, but there's so many tools that you can use online that can just help somebody in the process, and it can be very valuable because if somebody for whatever reason transaction didn't work, say, you can communicate with them, build some trust, and then that creates a relationship right there as well, because they see that you're on it, and they see that you can help them with that as well.
Dude, that's a huge one. Yeah, because it happens all the time. A charge fails. Maybe
Yeah,
it's insufficient funds, or maybe it's a typo, or maybe it's whatever. And a lot of times those sales just go away because they tried it or whatever, and they're like, it didn't work, and they bounce. So yeah,
yeah,
having something set up there where they get an email from you saying, hey, I noticed you had a little bit of a problem. Is there anything I can do to help? You open up that conversation, like you said. You might end up with a cut. Not only saving that sale, but getting a customer for life. So yeah, no, I love that.
exactly.
That's a big gem right there for sure.
Yeah, man.
Um, Dope. What about as far as what else? What are some other things? I feel like we go all day, but like
Yeah,
other. Oh, you know what? I had something that I did want to add on for PayPal that
yeah, yeah.
reminded me, which is that so like since I don't like PayPal as much, most of my stuff I do give them the option like PayPal or credit card using Stripe.
Hmm.
But one thing that I've seen that I think I might implement on a funnel that I have right now that is currently credit card only is having an exit pop. And an exit pop means when basically you can do this on ClickFunnels. There's other software that'll do it as well. When it sees that you're moving your mouse like you're gonna close the page, it shows a pop up. And so
Yeah,
basically it's almost like a last resort. And so on that exit pop, you can do a lot of cool things on it. But one thing you could do is say, "Hey, did you want to check out with PayPal?" and then have that PayPal button there. So that way it's like you don't have to deal with it as much because less people will use it because they don't see that option right away, but it could save that sale of somebody who was going to buy, or would have bought with PayPal and wouldn't otherwise. And I've also seen some clever versions of that too, where that exit pop can say, maybe, hey, do you want to buy with PayPal? And it could be also like, hey, did you know, this feature and benefit about this? Did you know there's a limited time? Whatever. It just gives you one last chance to, give them a heads up of like, hey, are you sure you want to leave? Like this, there could be something dope here that you're missing out on. So that anyway, I want to throw that in there as a little gem too.
cool. Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't know about that one. You can always, there's so many things that you can test. I mean, testing never ends when it comes to
Yeah.
marketing. And if you can test something against something, every single time that you put something out for sale online, this is how you'll be able to optimize, to refine, and to really dial it in so that you can get the most results with what you have going on. So yeah, definitely something to test out. And me, it's all about the data for me, right? So you can check out, okay, what's my percentage of sales by using this strategy versus using this instead, and you can tell which one as you're moving forward, so that you can, dial it, like I said, dial in more on that on that part.
Huge. It makes such a big difference. It's
Oh
that
yeah.
split testing thing. It's something that's made the difference of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for me, because we might put out the first version of a funnel, right? And let's
Hmm.
say it's
Hmm.
converting at 2%, which is not bad. It's pretty good. But then we say, okay, let's do a split test. We've got this funnel that we built. It's going all right. 2% is not terrible. Now let's change, for example, the headline, and let's run a split test. And so again, there's different software that can do this. We're both ClickFunnels users, and ClickFunnels makes it really, really easy. You just literally
Yeah.
basically click two buttons, and you can have that split test, and it'll automatically send half the traffic to this page and half the traffic to this page, and then it'll show you the stats, which one actually got more sales, and which one didn't, and how much. And then what you can do, you run that. Make sure you run it for enough time that you have enough data to know. If you run it for a few minutes and two people see this page and two people see this page, that's not enough data, right? You
That's
need
not
to,
enough data. Yeah.
maybe a few hundred people to see it in order to make a educated decision. And then you say, oh wow, okay, this version worked. So now this this one is still converting at 2%. This one's at 2.3%. Great. Now this is my new control. Bam. Let me move this over to the control. And now let me do a new split test. Okay, I'm using that headline, but now let me try, this different thing. Let me add a video here. Let me change whatever it is, right? Let me add that exit pop like we talked about. And then let's see if that does better. Oh, cool. That did better. That now from 2.3 to 2.7%. Great. Now that becomes the new winner. And every time, essentially what you're doing, to use the words of Russell Brunson, you're giving yourself a raise every day. You're saying, how can I give myself a raise
Exactly.
every day? Because those little incremental, again, these percentages sound small. If you go from 2% to 3%, that's a 50% increase in your revenue. So if you were
In your
making a
revenue. Yeah.
$1,000 a day, you're now making $1,500 a day if you go from 2% to 3%. So those little things make a huge difference. So constantly doing those split tests, and honestly, I should be doing more of them, is super key. That's a big one.
Definitely, and everybody should know that if you're doing split tests, it's really important to do one thing at a time, one element at a time, versus doing a whole bunch of changes and trying to split test those changes. Right? It's you know, some people make the mistake of changing so many things, and then they kind of lose track of what's working, what's not working, and by changing too many things all at once, it's just gonna, you're gonna lose track of certain things, right? So if you split testing, you can change, say, just the color of on a button, just to see if people react more to the color of a button that you have underneath a video, for example, right? Just split test the like one thing at a time. And from what I've learned from experienced copywriters and people that have gotten result with split testing, is that you always want to look at a minimum of, say, 100 actions or more before you conclude on, okay, this was the winner of this split test run, before you move on to the next thing. So really important that you do one thing at a time, and then that you have enough data to decide and to move on what's been working best.
Huge, so important. Yeah, because it's just not scientific, right? If you change three things and then it does better or worse, you don't know which one is the reason why it did better or
Exactly.
worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, super smart. All right, I know we could go off on the, and maybe we'll come back to a couple more of what's working and what's not, but just to shift gears a little bit, I'm curious. So if you were, let's say you were starting essentially from scratch right now, so you have the knowledge that you have, but you're not Big Shot Beats. You're Billy, right? You
Hmm.
don't have the brand, you don't have the connections, maybe you don't quite have the budget. What would be your, I don't know, whatever it is, 5 day, 30 day process of like, let me build up my music production business? How do you think you'd start?
So I would, put a bunch of beats together, maybe about 10 to 15 or even 20 beats together. And then I would just lead with value with a percentage of that. So say about, 5 out of 20 beats that I would have in my, in my catalog, that are, some of my best beats, right? Some of the best beats that I could have for my ideal customer. But it's also important to be clear about who you want to bring into your world and who you want your customer to be. I did that mistake for the longest time, to where I came across this concept of, your customer avatar or your ideal customer, and I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna do whatever I do, and I don't think that's that important. But when I became clear on who I want to attract, who I want to become my customer, would I go on a 2 week, I don't know, would I go on a 2 week vacation or a 2 week cruise with my ideal customer that are getting into my business right now? If not, then that wouldn't be. But anyways, we're not gonna get too deep into that. But yeah, I would put a beat pack together, and a portion of that I would leave with value by offering that for free. But then I would use a strategy where I'm connecting and building relationships with some of the people that I would think that are my ideal customer, and of course, if we're producers, that are going to be artists that are going to be attracted to the music that we make, and then by building those relationships, I would lead with value by giving some of my production for free, but then I would put a funnel together that would then upsell them on more, because there's a reciprocity event that happens when you give something of value to someone and they actually like what they're offering you. They're gonna look at that and be like, okay, they offers me some fire beats for free that I can use for profit. Let me see what they got to offer, and then a percentage of these people are gonna take your upsell, take your offer, because you're gonna add something in that offer. And that's a concept that I didn't understand for the longest time on how to implement that for my music production business. An offer is, instead of just offering beats, you can also offer things that your perfect avatar are going to look at as solutions to what they're struggling with when it comes to them creating music and marketing online, right? So when you put an offer together, it allows them to not only look at the production that you're offering them, but as a solution to what they're doing. So if you put something that's irresistible enough, they'll take you up on the offer, on top of you offering them some value, because you led with offering them something for free that they can use for profit, for example. And then you add more value to the offer that you're representing to them, so that they don't only get beats, but they get, say, a mini course on how to release their music, or a mini course on how to improve their mixes at home, for example. And by you including that, it just increases the value that you're offering to them, so that they can take action and upsell yourself. This way, you're not only breaking even on maybe the little advertising that you're going to put out there for the offer that you're going to have, but then if you're not using paid advertising, then it's going to allow you to build some funds and build a little bit of revenue, so that you can invest it back in yourself, invest it back in your business, so that you can move forward and grow and build your name, build your brand, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what I would do if I was like, starting off, and I wouldn't be Big Shot Beats and starting off again, and with the knowledge that I have and stuff like that. So yeah, leading with value and building relationships and offering something irresistible to an ideal customer, or my perfect customer avatar that I want to attract to my world.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's the same approach that you kind of take to everything, right? Let me lead with value. Let me help people first. Let me give them some free beats. Let me give them some of my dopest beats for free, and then, okay, let me offer them something, but let me add so much to this offer that's really going to help them, not just to have a couple beats, but to help them with all these other problems that they might be struggling with, always giving more value as along, every single step, which I think is something that you do really well. And I think that's why you have so much success. So I love that. I think that's huge.
Yeah, man. So I think you also wanted to talk a little bit about saturation. Do you want to cover that a little bit?
Yeah.
A segment before that.
That's right. We were talking about that earlier, of sort of this idea of, okay, we're in a position now where, we're in the Midi Money group. We're seeing producers who are using funnels. And so a very common question I get is, oh, that looks really cool. You guys are making all this money. It looks really successful, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's getting saturated. I already saw, 10 producers who are doing that. So it's probably not going to work anymore. What do you think about that?
Well, number one, you know, there's a funnel everywhere. It's just that it was just not as popular as it is today, especially within our niche, right? So the regular, putting a beat on YouTube that has a link in the description that leads you to a beat store or to a Beat Stars or whatever you use to bit your to put your beats on to sell them online, stuff like that. That in itself is a funnel. You know what I mean? It's just that we have a different approach. We have a different way to market ourselves online so that it can be a little bit more beneficial for our brand so that we can grow our business effectively versus using something that's kind of have a hole in the pocket where, you kind of, if you're using just say the YouTube and you have a link in the description box, you can't recommunicate with those people that are just checking these videos unless you have something in place that allows you to continue the conversation, to build that relationship and to build that rapport and so on and so forth. So everything is a funnel. It's just that it's a different approach. And to me, saturation is, I'd rather be in a market that is a little bit saturated, or at least that has a lot of activity, because if
Right.
you put yourself in a market that has no activity or that is actually not saturated, or saturation, I don't even want to use that word in my vocabulary, because there's more than enough for all of us to eat. And I believe in a world of abundance. And my ideal customer is not the same as Gabe's ideal customer. So for somebody to tell me it's saturated, okay, we don't have the same, I don't think that we have the same customer that you want to attract in our world or in our business. I don't think we made the exact same beats, although, some of them may do, music production that can be similar and stuff like that. But my ideal customer is probably not the same as yours. And if we create something that allows us to build our own tribe and our own following, and we don't share the same values or the same views on certain things. So to me, saturation, there's no such thing. There's more than enough in this world, like I said, for all of us to eat. And I'd rather be in a market that has somewhat of, a lot of activity, so that I can carve my little path. I can carve my way in that market, so that I can, get my piece of the pie with it. So to
Yeah.
me, there's no such thing as saturation at all.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, if you're in a market and it's not quote unquote saturated, you're in the wrong market. All that really means is, the fact that there are millions of rappers and singers who are buying beats, that's a saturated market. And yes, of course, whenever there's a market of buyers, there's going to be a market of sellers, right? If you look around and there's no other
Exactly.
sellers, it's a pretty good chance that there's no other buyers. So that's first of all is like,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably, sure it's quote unquote saturated. That just means there's customers. So that's the good news. And then I love what you said there, which is like my ideal customer is not the exact same as your ideal customer. And you're talking about putting together that offer for with your ideal customer in mind, whatever that includes, the hopes, the dreams, the fears, everything that you can address for that customer is different than what I'm going to do, right? It might include some beats. Yeah, the beats might be a little bit different, but also the products, the services, and not just that, but also what you were talking about earlier as far as video and a way that you are presenting your story and your brand. People are going to connect to you as a human. So yes, although they could
Yes.
get some beats somewhere else, maybe when you do this the right way, like what you're talking about, then people are going to connect to you. They're going to come to you for those beats. They're going to come to you for that information about how to promote themselves. They're going to come to you for whatever it is that you're mixing and mastering. I don't know, whatever, all the different things that you're offering, because they connect to you as a person. And that's really what you teach in Midi Money, what I teach, what Anno Domini,
Yes.
what Wish. That's what we teach. It's not, I think sometimes people get confused that what we're teaching is page one is exactly this, page two is exactly this, and page three is exactly this. Like, nah, like, yes, setting up certain pages and certain orders is going to work nicely. But really what we're talking about is what we've been talking about the whole time, which is connecting with your customer, giving value, creating a great offer. And that can look all kinds of different ways. That the pages can look different, the messaging can look different, all that can look different. All the funnel is making that journey on purpose and making it so that it's more valuable to your customer and more valuable to you, meaning generates more income. So how could that become saturated? How could that ever be out of style? Like that's just something that's worked from the beginning of time, and
Yeah,
that's really what
exactly.
you teach is that. So that's what I love about hopping on, when I do get to catch your coaching calls and stuff, is
Yeah,
that it's showing like, yeah, cool, here's all the little tactics and stuff, and I do love geeking out on that, but also understanding here's the principle behind why that works. It's because you're giving value. It's because you're starting that relationship the right way. It's because you're solving more problems and doing more for your customer than the person next to you. It's because you understand who your customer is better than the next person. Like, all those are the reasons why you're successful, not because page one looks exactly like this, or we're using certain software, like, oh, we're using ClickFunnels and that's the answer. Like, no, it has almost nothing to do with that. It's more about creating that process and purpose. So I think
exactly.
that's the real key behind that. So yeah, man, I appreciate that's what you're preaching in the group, and teaching these kids, showing them how it's done.
Exactly.
Man, I
Yeah.
feel like we could go all day. I gotta ask, bro, what camera are you using? I feel jealous, man. I feel like my thing looks kind of like, yours is looking crispy. What kind of camera you
Yeah.
got?
I got the Sony A5100, and then I use a HDMI capture card, the Cam Link, to capture the video on there, and of course I have my microphone and everything there. But yeah, I stepped up my video so that I can give even the people in the community a better experience, so that you know I can kind of lead by example, and show them there's a way to always optimize and to make things look better. You know what I mean? So
It's
yeah,
looking
man.
crispy, bro. I gotta step my game up. I'm about to order a camera. I
Oh yeah.
gotta I gotta be looking like you, man. I like that.
I'll send you some details and you know exactly what to get. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice.
Yeah,
You know what I
please
mean?
do, please do. I don't want to go too off on a tangent here, but somebody recommended the Canon M50. I don't know if that's any better or worse than what you
Yeah, I saw
got.
that. I saw that as well. But it comes down to preference. But what I have right here works, and it doesn't cut off, or because what happens with DSLR cameras that you use as a webcam, sometimes you have like cut off times and stuff like that. I know they're making it better, but when it comes to video, Sony is overall, from what I've seen so far, is where it's at
Okay,
for
yours
video.
is looking crispy. So are you using that? I know you've been doing like some YouTube live streams and stuff. I assume you're using this beautiful
Yeah,
setup when you
yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
definitely, yeah.
So yeah, maybe we can talk about traffic sources in general, because I know something that I see for sure over and over is when producers are like, "Man, this isn't working. I'm not getting enough sales." So often, it's just literally, well, nobody's seeing it in the first place. You're not getting. How do you know if it's working if you're not getting traffic? So maybe we could switch gears, talk a little bit about traffic, and then maybe within that context, I'm curious as far as like you doing those, doing the live streams, doing Facebook ads. What's working, what's not working as far as traffic goes.
Yeah, so for traffic, I'm doing a lot of Facebook, Instagram ads. So I basically do Facebook ads, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
at different avenues to get some traffic and everything, but I get traffic two ways. So it's the Facebook ads that go on Facebook and Instagram, and then through content marketing, where I have some content that would attract my ideal or my customer avatar or my ideal customer, and then I follow them through the links that I have, say on Instagram, I have a link on there that would get push them to go to the next step, because they check out my content. And what's really important when content is to have a call to action as well. But it's important to lead with value, because you don't want to always have an offer or something to sell with what you're sharing. But at least if you have some of these elements, or little points of anchors in specific places, so that they can get more information or to get further or deeper inside of your world, then you're set up properly, right? So basically, it's just when it comes to the streams, I also have like a Facebook group where I'm building a community so that I can have a little bit more culture, which is something that I didn't do too much of in the past. And what I do with that is that I share some content and some information that can help them with their music, when it comes to artists, with their music and what they're so passionate about making, right? And I also do live song reviews, right? So I listen to the music,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that artists always want to get their music heard, and I always get spam every day, all day, about check me out, check this out, check out my music, bro. Oh, this, that. So I said,
Right.
okay, let me set up something that is structured so that I can, do live song reviews. I live stream that on YouTube, on the Big Shot Heard Music YouTube channel, and then I have a community alongside of that where I create a post 24 hours before it goes live so that artists can go in and drop the link of their one song on that post within the community so that I can go live, and then I go over the links that I receive on that post. So this way it's like structured, organized, and that's how I kind of share value with the artist community as well, by being kind
Smart.
of like a you know kind of like an A&R, so to speak,
Yeah.
giving them an extra pair of ears to listen to their music, giving constructive feedback. Then you have a community of people that can also listen to their music, so that plays as a little bit of exposure as well. And then it's a community where I can get artists to connect, network, mastermind, and collaborate together as well. So I mean, it just puts me on the path where I have a goal to help at least 50,000 artists get on the right path to be successful with their music, even if it's a little something that I shared with them that can put them on that path. Then I know
Nice.
I'm gonna get there with that community that I'm building. So yeah, that's
I,
one of the
I
things that I'm
like
doing
that.
as well.
I like that. Yeah, a lot of good stuff in there. Anytime that you can build that community feeling, that's really really helpful, because if people want, everybody wants to be a part of something, right? And so if you
Yeah,
can create that, then people want to be a part of what you're doing. And that's any great movement, whether if it's in business or elsewhere, is all about how do you create that community. So that's really dope. And you said you're doing it in a Facebook group.
so yeah. So basically, I have a Facebook group set up where they have to go inside of the community and find the dedicated post to drop the link to their music, and then from that I grab that, and then this is where I have the information or the links that I'm going to be reviewing on my live on YouTube. So it's kind
Ah,
of like
okay.
little circles
It's
of
like a little
steps and
cross
things.
promotion, kind of like
Yeah,
getting them across platforms.
yeah. So this way, if I get shut down somewhere for whatever reason, I have my email list. I have Facebook. I have some places where it's a little bit spread out. Not something that I would recommend for everybody, but it just helped me out in the sense of, okay, don't rely on just only one specific things. When you master the one platform, say Instagram, make sure that you spread your wings a little bit so that you have a little bit more leverage on other platforms in the event that something goes wrong. You know what I mean? So,
Smart, smart. It happens a lot where somebody builds a huge following on
oh
one
yeah,
platform, and then the rules change, the engagement goes down, their account gets shut down, whatever it is, and it's like, and then it's just gone. And but
it's so
yeah,
weird right now that something that I'm dealing with on Instagram, for example, is that Instagram is blocking people from commenting back or replying back to my comments.
hmm,
So I'm like, what? Like I'm gonna make a comment on your post, for example,
right.
and you go to reply and it says action blocked or something like that. So it's just weird. So I started seeing that, so I was like, okay, maybe I should look at other options. Build some other channels so that I can spread my wings a little bit more. So yeah, you never know
No,
sometimes.
no, really smart to do, because it happens all the time. People's accounts get shut down. Facebook ad accounts get shut down all the time. Instagram accounts, they'll get shut down, or a lot of the times they'll get some version of, like, they'll call it like shadow banned, right? Which
Shadow
maybe
ban and stuff.
sounds like
Yeah,
you've got some kind of version of that, where they might just bring your reach way down, so you post something and nobody sees it and you don't really know why, or you've got some weird thing where the comments don't work, or so being
so
able
weird.
to spread that audience around across platforms is really smart. And of course, I would argue most importantly is get them on your email list, because now you own
Yes,
that. Nobody can change the rules on you. You can email somebody. That's not, you're not on anybody else's platform at that point. So as long as you're kind of getting people ultimately there, then that's sort of the safest, while also moving around to different platforms as well.
exactly. And that's gonna allow me. I'm at the point where I want to start building a bigger team, so I can start delegating some task and building a machine that's gonna keep growing, kind of thing. So yeah, man. That's kind of what I'm doing with that, and it's given me like that challenge to be on the schedule and to lead with the consistency that I'm talking so much about, so that I
Yeah.
can lead by example and showing others that yes, it is possible, but you have to really commit to it, dedicate it your time, and keep staying focused. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just one more of the benefits of being a leader of some like you are and being somebody who helps so much is that it makes you accountable because now it's all of a sudden you're like, man, people are looking at me, for inspiration. They're looking at me to know that something's possible. I kind of need to do this to not let them down. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
and it is crazy, man. It's so often, just looking specifically in the Midi Money group, but I see it in other places too, is almost every single time when you see who are the producers that are answering the most questions, giving the most value, helping people the most, are the ones that are, hitting those 5 figures, are the ones making the most money. And I don't know which comes first, but there's definitely a relationship there. So I think that's something for everybody to take in. If your perspective is, oh, I'm going to try to figure this out and keep it to myself, like, no, I'm telling you, I've seen it for myself. I see it over and over. The way to get it, the way to get to that next level is actually to help, to share, to show other people the way. And then you're going to learn it better. You're going to be more accountable. You're going to be more inspired. And whatever the magic is, I've just seen it over and over. It just works. So be like Billy, help people, and then and then you will be successful.
I mean, Russell, our mentor, because we have the same mentor, right?
Yeah.
He talks about contribution. So he said that a big part of his growth as an individual and as a person of business has been
Right.
because of his contribution. So basically give himself some value and learning all these things, taking action and failing so many times and sharing his experience, right? And by contributing, right? His contribution was a huge part in the marketplace in terms of marketing, and because of that, because he was able to help others and share his journey with others, and because of that, giving others results with what they're doing, then that was a huge part of his growth. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm about as well, man. Leading with value, making a contribution with the marketplace, and sharing my knowledge, my experience, and yeah, that's what it's about in my camp.
It's working, man. It's win-win for everybody. So,
Oh yeah.
man, I could geek out on this stuff all day. I know we're
We
already
can we
like
can go we can go long. Me and you, man. We geeks.
we could do this forever.
Oh yeah.
But I think we should probably wrap it up pretty soon here. We're hitting, I think a little past the hour mark. So maybe a few things. One is if you do have any parting words, anything we forgot, let us know what you got coming up, and if nothing else, just let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah. Really, when it comes to what I want to say as wrapping words is you have to stay on the positive side, and even though something may not look like it's going the right way or maybe not going your way, there's always a positive outcome because you stick to it. And to me, uh, the obstacle is the way. When there's an obstacle, there's something in front of you that's kind of giving you a little bit of resistance. You know, that's the way because it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you get better, and you don't want to take the route where it's easy and there was no pain to it. Because to me, to grow, there has to be some pain. It's just like going to the gym. If you go into the gym and you're not feeling anything or it's not hurting a little bit, then you're not growing. So to me, the obstacle is the way. You have to push through, push moving forward, and by giving yourself some value and learning and actually sharing your experience, that's how others are gonna also learn from you. And by you being able to share your journey and to teach others what you're doing and to document your journey as you're moving forward, it's going to inspire someone. It's going to help somebody else where they're at in their journey. And if you keep a little bit ahead and you show others what you're doing, then that becomes contribution right there. And that's how you become a person that's not only growing for yourself, but you're growing for others. You're growing for the customers that you're going to start to attract. And I think that's a really important part in your journey. So with that said, keep at it, keep staying positive, invest in yourself. It's because I invested in myself so much. Like I even at one point in my journey, I went broke spending money on advertising, for example, and I put music to the side to learn about marketing, thinking that it was gonna be my thing. But then I got pushed back onto my calling so that I can use that experience, and this is why I'm thankful that I got on that journey actually. And now I can share my experience with producers and other musicians and everything, building a community and everything. So it's really important that you invest in yourself and that you keep moving forward, stay on the positive side. You create your life, and you know it's really important that you focus on what you believe in, and you focus on what you truly want to happen in your life, because it is possible. Somebody already did it. You just have to find these people and model, not copy, but model what they're doing. And even if it's a percentage of what they're doing as a proven method that you can implement in what you're doing in your life, you're gonna get way more ahead than trying to figure it all by yourself and trying to knock that wall with your head. So with that said, this is Billy here from Big Shot Beats. You can find me online at bigshotbeats.net. I also have a little resource pages that I created that can, you can find some resources and tools that I use for my marketing. If you go to bigshotbeats.net/resources, and I'm on Instagram at bigshot.beats, Facebook Big Shot Beats or Beats by Big Shot, and pretty much everywhere Big Shot Beats. You can look me up and you can find me there. And yeah, you can also find me inside of the Midi Money as one of the main coach. Every single week we're going in, answering some questions, helping producers move forward. And yeah, it's the Midi Money gang as well. So that's it, man.
Man, I don't even know what to say. Bro, that was incredible. I mean, you are somebody who really lives it. You don't just talk about it, all those things you just talked about, you really do.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who's been a huge inspiration to me, and also somebody who's just been an incredible help because of your contribution to, Midi Money and to what we've got going on, and somebody who every time, always gives and man, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to hop on here today. I know you dropped a ton of gems. I hope everybody appreciates it. Hopefully we didn't get too deep into the geeking out world to where we lost a couple people, but I think people are really gonna love it. Man, just really appreciate you, and we'll be talking again soon. Thanks, bro.
Hey, yeah, likewise, man. And once again, thank you. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity that you gave me to get inside of your world as well. And hopefully this was of value. And yeah, I can't thank you enough, because of the relationship that we've built, it opened up so many other doors for me. You showed me what's possible with everything that I'm doing with my business as well. Huge inspiration. And yeah, it's just the beginning, and we're going to keep growing that. So thank you very much as well, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.